Hello, welcome to TransByDef. My name is Morgan Fay, and this week's topic is change in leisure time activities following transition. So, for me, there's actually been quite a bit of change. And prior to transition, when I presented in that male persona, I found social situations very stressing. Any kind of prolonged social activity would just drain me. I would need a lot of time to recover. So I needed to pretty much find activities that were going to be, solitary. So primarily my most common, thing that I used to do was play video games. I enjoyed primarily like strategy games because also at that time I really choked down any kind of emotional side of me, and I relied pretty much just completely on reason. I used that as kind of the shackles to keep who I was at bay. So strategy games would talk to that point of me, that part of me, and it'd be able to engage my reason, and it would be able to kind of allow me to zone out the world, zone out my life, and just pretty much kill some time. I also enjoyed a lot of role-playing games, both video games as well as actually in person. And while this is actually a social activity, Dungeons and Dragons, and I also played GURPS and storyteller system like Vampire the Masquerade, it was a different experience because I would always play female characters, and I would actually I would have that opportunity to put some of my true self, my real persona into that character. So I could drop that facade a bit, and I could relax, and I could be a little more comfortable in my skin. Obviously, I had to find gaming groups that were a little more open-minded and liberal. But from high school, I had a good group of friends that were accepting of who I was, even though they weren't quite sure exactly what that was at the time. And being able to play those characters and live myself vicariously through them was probably one of the primary things I did for therapy in order to, deal with that dysphoria. And even when I didn't actually have a social group where I would play those games, I still spent a lot of my time, designing worlds, designing characters, inventing new lives for me where I can interject, some of who I was and how things could have been different. So that was a way for me to really express myself, but do it in kind of a safe way. I have always enjoyed outdoor activities, but I was limited. One of the big things that has changed since transition is that I have lupus. I had lupus before, I have lupus now, but prior to transition, stress as well as sunlight was a major trigger for me. And I had fairly frequent episodes, and they could really knock me off my feet for a while. Since transition with HRT, I've lost sunlight as a trigger, and my episodes are extremely infrequent and very mild in comparison. Instead of having 2 or 3 episodes a month, I go now down to like 2 or 3 episodes a year, which is a huge change. It's very unexpected and very welcome. Which has opened up outdoor activities more to me. Now, since transition, I've lost that need to express myself vicariously. So I've gotten out of role-playing games. I've gotten out of video games, and also I don't live my life, wrapped in reason the way I was. So strategy games, while they're an interesting diversion, they're definitely not something I would devote my time to. I'm much more interested in social activities now. I'm not an extrovert by any means, but I definitely enjoy more social experiences now. Instead of playing Civilization on the computer, I'd prefer to play something like Clue or something like that with a group of friends or with my family. I do enjoy going out now. Before, the only time I would ever be dragged out was if I had to be designated driver. Now I actually enjoy getting out and maybe seeing a show or catch a comedy show, or just hang out with my wife. So I'm definitely more socially motivated now than I was previously because I don't have that stress and that just draining sensation of my energy by having to pretend to be someone that I wasn't. So the social activity has definitely filled up a lot of that gap of what used to be primarily solitary activities. In addition to that, I've now have a greater love of who I am and my body. And even though I'm probably more vain and more nitpicky about myself now than I was before, I actually care about who I am. So I definitely put a lot more time and effort into physical activities. Haven't quite gotten to Pilates yet. I've made a few false starts, but hopefully I'll get that started real soon here. But walks and things like that, just to get my blood pumping and try to keep myself in shape a bit. So the other thing that's changed is there's a lot of things that I would restrict myself from being able to do before because it didn't match that male persona that I presented. And now that I've allowed myself, to do what I want, I've discovered that cooking has actually become, a major hobby of mine. It's something I enjoy quite a bit. It helps relieve stress. It helps me feel good about providing something for my family, and I take it to kind of an artistic level. I like doing I always spice up a recipe. I always try to do the things that are more difficult, and I enjoy it quite a bit. And that was kind of surprising, but I would have to say that cooking has actually become a hobby of mine, and that's a change in allowing myself to be and to present as who I am rather than having to force that kind of persona, that masculine persona that I did previously. So activities have definitely changed. What I did before transition, what I do now, there's actually very little similarities. Before I would be on more geeky science sites. I do the message posts and stuff like that. But now, I'm a Facebook person, and I spend quite a bit of time, on social sites, social media, YouTube. So I've definitely changed, almost 180 degrees from my social activities that I did previously, and my hobbies and my interests have definitely changed. I no longer have that vicarious need that I did before to be who I was and to be able to let a bit of my personality out. Now I get to do that all the time. So now I get to move on to pursuits that are less therapeutic and more just for enjoyment. So I think that's going to be about it for this week of TransByDef. I hope to see you here next week, and have a good day.